Welcome to Uniting the Cults, another episode of Why is Everybody Stupid? So, I'm asking people to try out this Socratic line of questioning with Muslims and to comment below with what they answer. Real quick, I'm going to explain what a Socratic line of questioning is. I want to explain the Socratic method. The Socratic method is something attributed to Socrates from 2,500 years ago in ancient Greece. It is a method of teaching or learning, you could say, where the teacher asks questions and the students answer them. And the teacher doesn't answer the questions because their answers don't matter. It's what matters is the students and their reasoning and them developing their reasoning on their own with the help of the teacher because the teacher is asking questions. And just to be clear, while you're doing the Socratic method, if somebody directly asks you, "Hey, what do you think the answer is?" it, it it's okay to answer, and that doesn't go against the Socratic method. Um, so here's the questions. How many flaws do you need to find in a religion for you to recognize that the religion is man-made? Is it 1, 5, 1,000? And why is that the correct number? This person replies, Islam doesn't have any flaws. I know you think there are flaws, but those things are not actually Islam. This is my paraphrasing of what a lot of the replies are. I'm aware of the practice of explaining away flaws as not actually Islam, but I've never seen anyone explain their logic for how they decide whether something is actually from Islam or not. Can you explain the logic that you use? Please explain it in such a way that any reasonable person can apply the logic without consulting you. My request for someone to explain their logic in such a way where a reasonable person would be able to apply the logic without consulting that first person. So then somebody replied saying, it's easy to explain which things are Islam versus not. But then we went back and forth a bunch of times where I'm trying to get clarification from them. This means it didn't work and it wasn't easy. And then they resorted to trolling with your inability to understand. That's when I decided to end the discussion because it means they turned their brain off. This is just one of the comments below here. This is it. This is the one. So they said that shouldn't be hard. They would just say it has to either be in the Quran or in the authentic hadiths. Sunnis will differ in hadith collections from Shia, but apart from that, this seems like a straightforward question for any Muslim to answer. So I say, isn't there disagreement about which hadith are authentic? Not within the Sunnis, as far as I know. There are 9 books considered to be all Sunnis to be the most authentic. So already he's saying everyone who isn't a Sunni would disagree with this. But even within the Sunnis, I'm pretty sure there's still disagreement about what counts as authentic. But here's the point. This explanation he gave didn't work. It didn't achieve the goal. The goal was for you to say to give an explanation, a reasoning, a set of standards by which we can judge whether something is Islamic or not. And given that I had to ask him more information about what he's saying, that means he failed this little part. Please explain it in such a way that any reasonable person can apply the logic without consulting you, without asking you for more information. So they say, let's see. See where he said here to be the most authentic. What does most authentic mean? Shouldn't it be authentic or not authentic? What does the most mean? How can we tell? And again, given that I have to ask again, he already failed the request. The request was, give me a piece of reasoning that I can use without having to consult you again. Here I am having to consult you again because you said something vague. So I asked him, how does degrees of authenticity make sense? He said, chains of narration, perceived reliability. So I said, you're not explaining the logic of how to determine if something is actually Islamic or not. You need something that is Boolean, not something that comes in degrees. It's not how much it is Islamic. It is whether it is Islamic. It's Boolean, 1 or 0, true or false. It doesn't come in degrees, levels of authenticity. And then he started insulting me, trolling me. This person says, can you use Aristotle's philosophical method to debunk Islam as well? So I asked him, what is Aristotle's method? He said, the law of identity. I've heard of this before. The principle states that something is what it is and not something else. The law of non-contradiction, A cannot be both A and non-A at the same time and in the same respect. This principle asserts that a statement and its negation cannot both be true. The law of excluded middle, a statement is either true or false. There's no middle ground or third option. To use Aristotle's method of logic to refute claims, you can follow these steps. Identify the claim being made and break it down into its constituent parts, premises, and conclusion. Analyze the structure of the argument to determine if it follows the rules of Aristotelian logic. Check if the premises logically lead to the conclusion. Look for any logical fallacies or errors in reasoning within the argument. Common fallacies include circular reasoning, false analogies, ad hominem attacks. Test the validity of the argument by applying the principles of Aristotelian logic. Ensure that the conclusion necessarily follows from the premises. If you find that the argument is flawed or the conclusion does not logically follow from the premises, you can use counterexamples, logical reasoning, or evidence to refute the claim. So what I say is, in the OP, I'm giving people an easy script to follow. As far as I can tell, the methodology you described would have to be something the person following the script already knows how to do. In any case, I've given advice like this before. I say, ask them why they believe in Islam. Then when they say nonsense reasoning, explain why it's nonsense. I tell people that scientific thinking is what we need to be doing. So when you see someone not doing scientific thinking, then explain what's missing. One of the most common things that come up is this. Someone will believe in a theory, like Islam, while ignoring criticisms to their theory and also ignoring rival theories. Related, they will use a criticism against rival claims while not even checking to see if that criticism also applies to their own theory. Another very common mistake is believing in superstitions and not knowing about the concept known by many scientists and non-scientists, especially those who know Karl Popper, as falsifiability. It works like this. If a theory claims to affect the natural world while it also claims that we cannot test to see that it actually affects the natural world, then it's nonsense. In other words, an empirical theory must be empirically testable, or else it's not actually empirical and it's nonsense. It's the realm of mythology, not science. All right, that's it for this one.